This is a brief instructional video on showing how to check the condition of your TailWell cutters and looking for damage and sharpening them. So what we've done is, once we've removed the cutters from the unit and cleaned them, we can then align the cutters so that one tooth is on the corresponding tooth on the inside cutter. By looking down on the end, you can make sure that all the cutters, all the teeth are engaging or touching, so that ensures that there's no bent or damaged teeth. You can also check it by turning it like that, and that'll confirm that everything's running smoothly. Secondly, by pulling them apart, you can look closely at the face of each tooth and see if there's any excessive wear there. If there's excessive wear there, you may be able to correct that by using some grinding paste, which we'll do in a minute, or it'll be a case of a new set of cutters. So what we can do is apply a little bit of ordinary valve grinding paste, such as you might have used on your old car in the good old days. Just smooth it around. Fit it inside. And just work it backwards and forwards for a minute or so. What this can do is to just hone or clean up the face a little bit and make sure that any small ridges that have happened as a result of grit mixing with the oil causing like a grinding paste, this will ensure that it just smooths those off. And you can make sure that when you clean that paste off, you can see where we're touching and where we're not. Now that's reasonably even all the way around there, so and when I do spin it like this in my fingers, I can feel the sharp edges there. Just might want a little bit more. And it feels like it's seating correctly. Now, if it required any further sharpening, then it's going to be a matter of having the 7 teeth on the outer cutter, the 7 teeth to the right of the file, and by just drawing the file backwards and forwards a few times, you'll just dress that edge of the tooth up there, and then move it round one and do the next set. Until you've done all of them. With the internal cutter, it's a case of cutting them directly across so that we are getting the correct angle by doing that and moving it around. And so on and so forth until you've done the whole cutter. And then when it's put back together, they should really give a nice, crisp, clean cut and do quite a bit more life. Before I refit the cutters into the TailWell, I'll put grease around this face here, because you can see on this one, for example, it hasn't been cleaned so well after being used, and as a result there's a little bit of rust starting to develop here. So by putting lots of grease in there, it just helps to ensure that they stay clean during the process of being used. The other thing is to always use plenty of oil, particularly if you're in conditions where the animals are walking on sandy areas or they're bedded in sand in stalls and so forth. After all, this is a terrible environment that these things work in, and with the dirt and the oil, it mixes into a beautiful grinding paste, and that's what's going to blunten them and shorten their life quicker than anything else. So the more oil, the better. The other part of it that's very important is correctly adjusting the cutters. So when you put the cutter back in, you've bolted everything on, there's lots of oil and grease in there, you screw these hand tight in these little centre screws up, they're adjusters, evenly up as hard as you can. I give them a little jiggle when I'm tightening them up, and get them as tight as I can by hand only. Any more than that and they'll be too tight, and then just nip up just lightly the lock nuts, and that ensures they stay where they are. And then just make sure that you can just turn the unit by hand. If you can't do that, then something's not right, so you need to go through the adjustment process yet again.